with the pepper. That is, that is too good.
Your space.
Yes, please.
You want you
Control.
they never close it.
With the pepper when it's big, with the pepper. These are too old. Those carrots are very little. What? From getting rid of the kind of How are you? I'm okay, dear. How are you?
Omukulu. Oliyo.
Oh, mkuu.
Yes, sir.
Hiyo tatu yote.
Ndiyo.
Yes.
Jebali.
Abantu bali
Abantu baliyo.
bali ku.
Hello. How are you?
And they were two, and then another one. I think the other one, all of them are going to read. No, this one. No, you will read. I don't want you to. You'll read it for me. Okay. Thank you.
Mm. Mm.
Really good.
Yes, you know. Yes, in the deputy, and he's good also.
That girl has come and do that.
She's a full lot of this. But we have never met. I think she has she's suicide and she's still doing it. But the deputy will help us.
Yes, my brother. How are you? Thank you.
No, I think they are not.
No, I want to sit here and make fun here. Is it on? Because when we sit down, one time, the speaker told the member of parliament, said, sit down. The member stood up and said, Mr. Speaker. And the man who had the speaker, so small, the man was called on home. I said, no, sit down. And he's right, dude. I remember you said, because we elected you to that chair. We spoke to you, and the man was here sitting. I can't do it. Especially to read. No, you humble yourself. No, as if you are really telling me. The man got annoyed. Hey, he got annoyed. He got annoyed and told me, Mr. Speaker. And who was the speaker? The letter union. Okay. He said, we elected you in this office. I'm a member of parliament that you have to have added responsibility. Then he said, sit down. I said, kid. Stop it.
He's right to a man and
Hey.
the woman.
So, Christian,
Hmm?
when I'm down Mugumiri, you okay?
Yeah, okay.
DJ, do I know? Bangame, sit down.
Sorry, please, I think it's
What was the big
no, I
boss?
have need to go to someone.
He has a big. Most of the things the commission presented. And he has a
Who?
taxation.
About you.
The increase of salary.
Increase of what?
Salary.
A year.
Committee work, money. Yeah, wouldn't.
Yeah.
So just come back now.
That is good news.
That is
But before you read about it, that is,
he said
I think
with the performance.
it's,
He said there was this parliament where my brother from Tanzania behind my wife. That parliament disappointed me. I was there today. Said their parliament. It's not like your parliament. You need a speaker, after speaker. If we sit together, we agree, we shall
Honorable members, Mr. Speaker.
Prayers.
Almighty of society and the just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under that deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to that church. Amen.
Item number 2, communication from the chair.
Thank you, colleagues. I welcome you to today's sitting. Yesterday, I was having a call with some few speakers of the districts who called me, and some councillors share with me. I think they were trying to lobby, you know, as usual, we are in the budgeting process, think about us and all that. And they were telling me that they'll be meeting towards the end of May to approve budgets of their district councils. Parliament is already considering the budget proposals. We've already received the consolidated budget proposals. The Committee of Public Service and Local Government already presented to the Budget Committee. So now the question is, whose budgets are local governments presenting to Minister of Finance? Whose budgets? Because you see, the COW, the Chief Finance Officer, should be uploading onto the system the budget which is approved by a district council. Okay? So it prompted me to call my own district, and my CFO told me they'll be having a budget, a council to approve a budget by 31st of May. And now my question was, so the budget you support, you uploaded on behalf of Mitoma, for Mitoma district, who approved it? It's like colleagues, you waking up here now and you find the Minister of Finance has already, you know, started implementing a budget. Okay? So where does it bring us to the issue of decentralization? And it seems the councillors are now helpless. They can't do anything. They don't have any power. You know, some people are sitting somewhere on computers, uploading budgets, and then especially the development component. And I'm happy we have former district. We have former district chairperson, the Honorable Christine from Kumi. This really shocked me. I really need the minister. I think it should be the Minister of Local Government, because what I came to understand, also the Ministry of Local Government does not know anything about how districts are budgeting, because now CAOs submit directed finance. The Minister of Local Government doesn't know even that district so and so has not yet even put in its budget. And in the end, colleagues, It's your districts which are going to be failing, especially on the development component. So I need the Minister of Local Government to come here and brief us on the budgeting process by the local governments and why they do submit budgets without approval of the district councils. And I also urge you, colleagues, that you go back, you call your districts and you ask them about this. Have you, as my district council, approved the budget for our district? So that when the minister brings the statement here, we are all informed and we are not misled. So I need the minister to come back. This is a very simple matter. I need the minister to come back Wednesday next week and present this statement. I'm still communicating. So I need the minister to come back and present a comprehensive statement on the budgeting process and the role of district councils in the budgeting process, and whose budget are we processing as parliament, purported from the various. I tried to call the chairman public service and local government last night. I couldn't get him, but it really shocked me, colleagues, and we have to take up this matter seriously. The way we protect our powers of appropriation, we must also protect those of local governments and our councillors. Okay? Which I've also gotten. Yesterday, I received calls from some rice traders. A certain lady was even crying. I called the Minister for Trade, the rice traders who bring their rice via Mutukura. So I called the Minister of State for Trade. I alerted her to the matter. Now, today I was coming from another meeting. I phoned people had already, I think they first went to the Speaker's office after they were told I'm the one presiding. So they came to my office. So the rice traders importing from Tanzania through the board of Mutukura, they have informed me that the Minister of Trade issued import permits to brokers who are not rice traders and left the real dealers in the rice without permits. So, and also, I'm told there is a company called Radifo, which has been appointed. It's the only one that clears you if you want to import rice via Mutukura border. So, and it's the one which determines, today I'm told, the next day 12,000, and even URA, this is rice which is tax exempted, moreover. So URA does not even collect money. So these people have imposed taxes. I think a government is running within a government in terms of tax regime and the rice trade. So they have given me a petition. They have given me a petition this afternoon. This petition, I want to refer it to the Committee on Trade. You have been doing a thorough job. I want you to go and investigate this matter thoroughly and report back within 2 weeks, because it seems to be a very, very urgent matter. And it seems some people are minting hundreds of millions, you know, quietly on Mutukura border. The MPs for that side, I don't know why this had never been brought here. So, Committee on Trade, within 2 weeks, please, I need this handled. Clerk, you will pass on the business sector association. And these are people, general people who import rice, but they are saying only one company is allowed. So for you to bring in any rice in Uganda via Mutukura, you get a license from another company called the Radifo. So the Committee on Trade, please, I want this handled expeditiously so that we can give and we create a fair trading environment for our people. These are young people are going into trade. So yesterday, Honorable Ernest Musime raised the issue of failure by Uganda Coffee Development Authority provide seedings to farmers due to lack of funds. And the Minister of Finance is required to come here, Right Honorable Prime Minister. And today, because this was not a matter where you need to go and reinvent the wheel. I don't see the minister here, and I don't want to burden you. I'm giving you 1 hour. The minister should be here to come and explain to us the issue of coffee. Please, if that 1 hour is not there, the next step I will announce it at that time. But in 1 hour, the Minister of Finance should be here. Yes, we have some matters of importance. Honorable Nsereko.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, rising out of your communication, I would like to thank you for the commitment that you have and that you have undertaken to present views of Ugandans from your chair. Right Honorable Speaker, when you talked about budgeting, I remember in the previous parliament, we argued that it is important that we pick up the mantle of discussing every sector of the budget in this house. Because there is this mentality of committees and then retreating to subcommittees. And before you know, we own up a budget where we did not participate. When questions are put to us, we only wait for the appropriation time of the bill, and it's very fast. We are handling vote per vote, vote per vote, vote per vote. There is no time to make a comprehensive report and get people to include the views of what you're talking about. I'll give you an example. I'm glad you've talked about local government. You can ask yourself, how many of us know what even our local governments have presented, or what other people's local governments have presented? This is a center of cross-lobbying. Someone would be coming here and is coming, let's say, from Kanungu, or lobbying from someone to say, listen, we need this road, but we need this water. So that we sit down and say, okay, this is the priority there, this is the priority here. Can we sit down and synchronize and split this budget equitably? That brings me to this point, Right Honorable Speaker. Our Silicon Valley, which is the center of excellence in technology, has been given 600 students to study for free with no funding. And the letter they have is that there is no money. The whole world is moving towards technological advancement. You give them students to teach, and there is no money for free. And you can imagine. Secondly, they need a center where we need to teach children virtual reality, like you've all heard about it. Virtual reality glasses, it's expensive. It's something that government should invest in. And they have been told there is no money for the next 3 years. What has happened? The investment has been shifted by the Amazon and other companies. Over $12 billion has been, because they wrote and said, I think you're very unserious. Now, we have to go and plead for jobs from our neighbors. Can you take on our software engineers that have studied in Uganda? You have the best brains. You've denied them the circumstances and the environment to work in. The jobs have been shifted to another country. You are the first priority.
Honorable Nsereko, we as presiding officers, we are going to retreat. Indeed, we'll reflect on how we can make the budgeting process much better in terms of handling it here, in terms of our role as parliament.
Right, Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, my prayer is that let us sit and follow the national development goals of our country under the National Planning Authority program that we have. But now we talk this, we implement the other one. We say we want to move this way, we are moving the other side. The world is taking this direction, we are moving towards another direction. How can it says in lump sum that parliament doesn't help us? Why? Because people do not hear us engage in debate about appropriation, about taxation, feasibly. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Nsarika. Honorable Kateshumba? Yes,
Thank you.
Honorable Kateshumba.
Thank you very much,
I'll pick.
Mr. Speaker. I'm responding to your communication, particularly on the issue of the restrictions of importation. Mr. Speaker, we need the Ministry of Trade to understand that one of its mandates is actually to facilitate trade, not to restrict trade. Mr. Speaker, when we entered into the East African community, one of the success stories we have had is the coming into force of the Common Market Protocol. And the Common Market Protocol plus the other laws like the non-tariff barrier law have come in place to reinforce the need to respect free movement of goods within the East African community. But Mr. Speaker, I think what is causing confusion is that we have an act, the External Trade Act, Cap 88, which is not consistent with the East African Community Customs Management Act. That act purports to give the Minister of Trade power to restrict imports and exports. Yet the coming into force of the Common Market Protocol actually made that act collapse, but it has not been repealed. And therefore, because of that, the ministry is using that act to curtail trade illegally, in my opinion. You cannot appoint a private company to collect fees and restrict importation. That is undermining revenue collection. Mr. Speaker, we need the Trade Committee to look into this matter and report to this House. And we task the ministry responsible to do its mandate of facilitating trade so that our business community can prosper. They have been suffering from the COVID pandemic. We cannot have the trade ministry that is supposed to be advocating for non-existence of non-tariff barriers to be acting in the opposite. Therefore, I'm very surprised that we have a situation like that, and I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for referring this matter to the committee. We should be able to get details and debate the matter. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, you wanted to say something on that issue? Just a minute, Honorable Semuju.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Rule 25 allows us to make short reaction to your communication. Guided by that rule, Mr. Speaker, I am seeking guidance from you by way of this rule. There are matters that are sent to committees of parliament when they are very urgent. Sometimes they are overtaken by events, either because they have delayed before the committee, or they have not been given priority when making the order paper. Incidentally, I am a member of the business committee. We referred the agreement on coffee, contentious as it was, because some of us wanted to discuss it here that day. It was then referred to the Committee on Trade. The committee at the beginning of this week said they are ready with a report. We've not been given an opportunity to debate that report. Mr. Speaker, you are making another reference to the same committee. So the reason I am seeking guidance from you is whether some of these matters that are urgent, you should not allow us to debate them here and make a decision one way or the other, because I have appetite to begin debating the coffee agreement. The chair of the committee said it is ready. I don't see it on the order, even as matters to follow. And Mr. Speaker, now you are signing the committee. So I fear, maybe because this one is sent by the speaker, but I fear it may also go there, we pile up reports. And before you know, because we are about to conclude the year in Parliament, and then we will be on and off. So that's the guidance I seek from you, Mr. Speaker, whether before they handle that particular reference that you are making, they should not first bring a report here and we conclude the coffee, then they take on the reference you are making, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Semuju. Indeed, the committee has finished its work. And like I said yesterday, it has submitted the report to the clerk and presiding officer. Now, if as a presiding officer, when you send me these documents, we have to first study them, okay? We familiarize ourselves with the document so that I can be able to moderate a debate. Otherwise, we are going to come here when I don't know much about a document and I just keep picking. Semuju, I pick Rukia, I pick who. When I'm not even comprehending when I'm lost. So I can assure you, the item is coming. We are giving it space on the order paper. Now, why I've sent another matter, indeed they've already finished the other one and they've already submitted it. So they don't have any pending assignment. What is pending is presenting on the floor. So this is also an urgent matter. We shall ensure that indeed these matters are given attention, Honorable Member. It is coming. Thank you. Colleagues, it seems anyone to do with rice? Anyone to do with rice? So if it's not to do with trade and rice, I could allow Honorable Bahati, then I allow you on another issue. Yes, Honorable Bahati.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Katesh, who was our commissioner for customs at URA and is familiar with this situation. Mr. Speaker, it's good we have given this work to the committee, but I wanted to really assure the House that the Minister of Trade is not frustrating trade, it is facilitating trade, as opposed to what Honorable Katesh was trying to say. In 2014, we put a tax on some company, locally, we exempted tax VAT on locally rice producing companies. 15 companies went to court and they got an injunction against URA and they were exempted. So in our opinion, we thought that was actually being unfair to other companies. So we opened up to all companies who want to trade in rice and exempt them as we are exempting the 15 companies. Now these companies formed associations and they are been dealing with one another. The point you have said about the border, one company collecting fees or taxes, is a creation of the association. It's not our creation as government. And therefore, what we actually did to exempt everybody was to facilitate and be fair to all companies. And that's what we have been doing. So I just wanted to say that as the committee looks into this matter, really the Minister of Trade took that action to facilitate all people who are willing to trade in rice.
No, but Honorable Bahati, why would you force me to be part of the association? Why do I need to first bring an association to be an importer of rice? So can we agree that members and non-members of the association be allowed to import rice without non-members first going and paying to the association?
Mr. Speaker, the letters as companies, not as members of association. This association has been a creation of their own traders, and which I think I take responsibility that we should look into it and also resolve that, because they are part and parcel of operation. But at the moment, anybody who wants to trade in rice, we have been giving them exemption as companies. What they have been doing at the border has been their creation, which we should look into that as the committee looks into that. So let's wait for the committee, and then we'll be able to see how we can resolve it. Thank you.
Honorable, let's agree for now, okay? Members and non-members of the association should be allowed to import rice as the committee is doing work, because it's what you're saying, okay? There is no law you are basing on to say that you must belong to a certain association to be able to import rice from Tanzania, okay? Honorable member.
Mr. Speaker, we shall follow that and take action immediately.
Since they've agreed to take action, Honorable Nsereko.
True, right, Honorable Speaker.
We are preempting the assignment we have given the committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker, there is a timeline. It has time. I'll give you an example. The expiry of the current exemption ceases with the end of the financial year. I'm meant to believe so. And exemptions are granted annually. True, I believe that is the right thing. Therefore, I would like, Right Honorable Speaker, to also you attach an addendum that it begins now, and even they are bound at the beginning of the next financial year.
What we can do, since in 2 weeks' time we shall get a committee report, okay? And there is no single law that says I must belong to a certain association to import rice. What is so special about rice? Rice is the same as kawunga, rice is, so who is really behind this rice? Okay? So let us open up, and colleagues, we have members, the team that has petitioned me, they are members of Rice Business Sector Association. You can stand up. Just look at these people, you know, you tell this person the way they are, that you must go. They even presented the petition in Uganda. And they are saying they need to be cleared by a certain organization called RADFO for them to import rice. Yeah? So Honorable Minister, let us agree that with effect from tomorrow, you allow all traders to bring rice, those who want to bring rice. Then those who would want to belong to the association, let them belong to the association. Those who don't want to belong to the association, let them, in fact, let even people can form around 5 associations, okay? So that one we have agreed. And the Honorable Minister, on Tuesday, please lay on the table a letter clearing all companies to start importing rice, because it needs to be done in form of a letter, of a communication. As you already have a communication giving a few priority companies, now you need a letter to lay it on table showing that you have cleared all others. As the committee does its work, let's facilitate trade and let's just help our young people so that they can be doing the business. Colleagues, Honorable Nambeshe, colleagues, we are running out of time. Honorable, we are running out of time.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
No, that can't be a procedure matter where you have even prepared and you have a wrong, you know. Honorable Nambeshe.
I want to.
You prepared at midnight and.
I want to salute your take on the petition that was raised by the rice traders and the pain they are going through. Actually, fighting a monopoly is similar.
to the pain the coffee players are going through. And you vividly told the House that you got so many calls, but we who come from these areas that are coffee growing are receiving numerous calls. And for your information, the delay to have this matter expeditiously dispensed of by the House is causing lots of anger, resentment, that backlash. And we, the representatives of those people, are at risk. They can occasion anytime that outrage on us. You have talked of this report being tabled in the House soon. And like the Bible says, Jesus is coming soon. That soon, Mr. Speaker, sir, has taken ages. So we wouldn't want to see the soon also taking donkey years, Mr. Speaker, sir.
My brother.
But on a matter of procedure, if you look at the front bench, Mr. Speaker, as usual, it is almost empty. And there is a matter of urgency. We are reliably informed that there has been a terrorist attack
Honorable,
in Somalia.
You need my permission.
Yeah,
Okay?
I thought it.
You should have.
Under Rule 50.
No. On matters of urgency. And you
yes.
know, as opposition chief whip, you just call, you have an office here. You call my office.
Most obliged, but let me conclude it in a split second. Mr. Speaker, the security minister ought to be here because we are reliably informed that a terrorist attack on our officers and men in Somalia, perpetrated by Al-Shabaab, has happened actually. And I would like to know the fatalities, those that were victims of this attack. The minister ought to be here and furnish this house with such urgent information, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Sure. Anytime the minister comes, I'll give him space to indeed. Honorable.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Rule 45. Madam Speaker, when you look at Rule 45, questions for all answers, a minister shall not take more than 2 weeks to respond to a question from a member. And sub-rule 3, the response by a minister to a question asked of him or her shall be sent to the clerk within 5 working days, and the clerk shall distribute the response to the members within 5 days. Madam Speaker, some of us here avoid bringing matters of national importance on the floor of Parliament, not because we do not have them, but to pave way for other serious businesses of Parliament to take place, and instead turn them into questions for all answer. But to my dismay, the ministers responsible hardly make responses to our question. For example, on 9th February 2022, I asked 4 questions on the persistent fire outbreaks in schools and the markets. Honorable Major General Kaindo Tafire, Minister of Internal Affairs, but he never replied. Right, Honorable Speaker, over this matter, are we proceeding moving on well when some ministers are sleeping on their job, yet people are losing lives and properties? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very. We are going to ensure that indeed we sort it as presiding officers. So clerk, extract all questions of that nature that are pending and pass them on to the Prime Minister, and the ones which are ready immediately, they should be put on the order paper so that we clear them. Because I totally agree with you, Honorable. We would want to reduce on these questions of national importance, and so that we leave them as urgent matters. Okay. So, Dokoro.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker,
Under Rule 25E, I would like to make a comment on your communication from the chair. Right Honorable Speaker, the Local Government Act allows members of parliament to be and therefore we are supposed to be part and parcel of the district council decisions and debate. Unfortunately, operationally, most district councils don't inform their members of parliament whenever the district councils are sitting. It's very, very rare that they do that. In most cases, I keep reminding my own district to let us know, not only for budget, but for all matters, because there are so many things which are going wrong in our respective districts. And we also hear either from the media or when there is a crisis highlighted elsewhere. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to urge you to maybe talk to the line minister to remind the speakers of the respective district council of their discussions in the council, and they are also members of the road committee, and that is mandatory. So, Right Honorable Speaker, secondly, I would like to let you know that I happen to be a member of the Trade and Tourism Committee. There are some people who are alleging that the members of my committee have been bribed, because when the ATIA committee came to the house, the ATIA committee disappeared. Now the issue of the coffee crisis has come. Now it has disappeared from the order paper, and yet it's urgent. Now they are alleging that Mrs. Ogwal, even you have now. So now, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm urging you to save, at least save my neck. That I'm too old to be bribed. So I would pray that at the earliest opportunity, that report of the coffee should be brought to the floor so that we can put the matter to rest. And some of us can also sleep.
Thank you.
I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable. I want to protect you, colleagues. The Committee of Trade, I repeat, the Committee of Trade has finished its work. The rest of the work of ensuring it goes on the order paper is for the presiding officer. But I have pending issues on the order paper, but I'm not hearing anyone complaining. What is this interest? Also, we shall need to know. So colleagues, please, you need, colleagues, please. The power of making the order paper. Okay? So allow us, we are doing everything within the time we have, and we are very, very sensitive to this matter. Otherwise, if we gave you time to, no, Honorable Chivumbi, no. Please, on this matter, it is closed. On the matter of local governments, I also urge you colleagues to always go attend, because I know some of us are invited and we don't attend. And some of us also, when we reach in councils, dominate. So I urge us to be humble and to always attend. No, Honorable Isaac, you're the last one on this issue. Honorable Chivumbi, please. No, I've required the minister. I've required the minister to come here and respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Today I'm very happy, so I'm very lenient because of something.
Yes.
So that's why I'm extremely lenient. You better take advantage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Otimgi Isaac, Padiere County, Navy District. Mr. Speaker, I raised on the same issue of the order paper. Last week on Thursday, the 28th, item number 7 on the order paper, we had the issue of a motion which was going to be brought on this house last week on Thursday on West Nile tobacco farmers being included in the compensation project. Because of time aspect, it was ruled that it will be looked after in the next order of business. But now we're on the last sitting of this week, the issue has not even arisen again. the issue of it was already on the order paper last week on 28th. So I'm wondering what is really happening.
No,
Actually, as members of West Nile, we are getting very frustrated with the way we are being handled by the government and by this house.
so
If we have been annexed to Congo, then we-
Honorable Isaac,
Yes.
you presented your point. You can sit.
thank you.
I think I should apologize for not getting in touch with the petitioners. There is another administrative way we were handling this matter, which we felt would be shorter. Because if you could know the case of Hoima, it wasn't from this house. So a motion to just urge, you're just urging. You can urge me and I refuse to be urged. Okay? So, but as presiding officers, there is another route we were taking, which would think would yield better fruits and quickly. Okay? Yeah, that's why but we should have informed you. So let's give us a short time. We try that route, which we've tried. And the moment we feel we are not moving much, then, but we are going to keep you updated as readers from West Nile. Nevosaro, when did you?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, there are motions that are brought to this House that are quite urgent. And since you're talking about the urgent business, when schools were opened in January, we brought here a motion on the reabsorption of the pregnant girls into school and breastfeeding girls. The term ended, schools have opened, some have opened. The motion is still on the order paper. Right Honorable Speaker, such motions should be disposed of so that the Ministry of Education or any other ministries take up the matter and see how to handle. So I want to request, Right Honorable Speaker, the pregnancy was not only in December or during COVID time, it is still going on. And the girl child is still facing the same challenge. So I request, Right Honorable Speaker, that motion also finds its way before we end this particular session of Parliament and have it concluded so that the ministry can do what it's supposed to do. Thank you, Right Honorable
Thank you,
Speaker.
Honorable Sarah. Of course, I need to prepare to preside over any matter, but I remember the Minister of Education issued a notice to schools that they do allow these pregnant girls. Okay, so I'm going to cross-check, and please, we are going to get in touch so that we see which action was taken. If it wasn't, we shall allow the motion next week on the order paper. No, Honorable, I finished. You don't need to respond to me. Matters of national importance, Honorable Singoma. Patrick, please use 2 minutes, and clerk, kindly time 2 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise under a matter of urgent national importance in connection with the instability in the fuel supply and the pending crisis which we're likely to experience as a result of the interruption of the fuel supply within this region. Right Honorable Speaker, as a result of the fuel shortage in Kenya and the fuel crisis which have, affected that country, the Kenyan government decided to localize some 2 huge ships which were carrying fuel for this region. Honorable Speaker, the names of these ships, if you may allow me to inform the Honorable House, ship number 1 carrying PMS, this is in the trade jargon, that is petrol, it's called MT Campo, loaded with about 133.5 million liters of petrol. And ship number 2, loaded with Argo, this is the word for diesel, called MK Erika Athena, loaded with 104.7 million liters of diesel. Now, the Kenyan government ordered these ships to be localized in the market, whereas the existing procedure should have only allowed for 60% of this supply for the Kenyan market and the balance to the rest of the region. As a result of this, Honorable Speaker, the prayers, Honorable Speaker, is for the Ministry of Energy to quickly liaise with the Kenyan government or the Kenyan authorities to ensure that the amount supposed to be supplied for the rest of the region. Otherwise, our country is likely to be enveloped into a new fuel crisis, which may lead to escalating prices, and this is something we have been suffering from in the recent past. Honorable Speaker, the English adage goes, you are aware of it, a stitch in time saves nine. I beg to submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable, that's, in fact, I saw the letter. I saw the letter from the minister in Kenya. They were giving up to 6 p.m., I think of last Wednesday, for all fuel imports, for all fuel reserves, which were meant for export, to be now gazetted as local fuel. So, and the minister, a certain fuel importer in Kenya happened to talk to me over the same. So, Honorable, thank you for raising this matter, and the minister should come on Wednesday to update us on because she's taking it up. So we need on Wednesday. Honorable Serekono, please. No, please take your seat. No, please, Honorable. No, on Wednesday. Honorable Sereko, respect. You know, you're a senior legislator, and many people are running from you. And I don't think that's what they should learn from you. So, right on Prime Minister, on Wednesday, the minister should come and update us on steps being taken. Honorable Atianga Stella, followed by Honorable Aogon Cyrus.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I rise on a matter of national importance regarding the invasion of armyworm in my district. It's now 4 days since I got calls from my constituency regarding the invasion of armyworm in the district, which is actually destroying crops in the gardens. Honorable Speaker, if this is not stopped, this will affect negatively on the crop harvest in the district. Honorable Speaker, I want to call upon the responsible ministry, the Ministry of Agriculture, to intervene in this to stop the destruction that is caused by the armyworm on the crops. Otherwise, if it affects the harvest, then definitely this will escalate the food shortage in the district, which will result into famine. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Right, Honorable Prime Minister or Government. Oh, Honorable, yes, we have our very own Minister of State for Agriculture, Honorable Helen Adoa.
Thank you, right, Honorable Speaker. First of all, allow me to congratulate you. From the time you became a Deputy Speaker, I've not had a chance when you're here, and I'm talking to congratulate you. Congratulations. Right, Honorable Speaker, we shall bring a paper concerning also the biggest challenge we have had in the Ministry of Agriculture is budget cut. We are undergoing a lot of hard time, and almost half of our budget was taken to parish development model. So we are struggling. And it is this house to support us, and we support the honorable members. I thank you.
So Honorable, on Wednesday next week, I'll bring the statement. Okay? Honorable Algon, Cyrus?
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a very urgent matter. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a very urgent matter concerning the very bad state of the road running from Kumi to Ngora, and equally from Kumi town to Kumi Hospital, Ongino. Right Honorable Speaker, the people are gathering themselves up for a demonstration urgently. And I rise up to bring this to the attention of those concerned in the House, that the road is so bad that accidents are happening every minute. And therefore, we need intervention from government. Right Honorable Speaker, I have information that money which is meant for maintenance of roads across the country, worth over 160 billion, has not been released to UNRWA. Therefore, all the framework contracts across the country are suffering. Where you go to the districts and you find that the roads are not being maintained, it's because money has not been released for paying contractors. Therefore, it is not something just for Kumi alone. It is something for the entire country. I therefore pray that one, through your good seat, sir, an instruction comes to government to quickly release money to that effect. Then two, let them quickly give attention to my road from Kumi to Ngora, because the speaker passes there most often. Where will the speaker pass when the road is in a deplorable state? And yes, it is a road which is strategically located. Even the Minister of Fisheries passes there. All the government officers are not safe, even the members of parliament here.
So,
and the entire public is waiting for this.
Thank you, Honorable. Right Honorable Prime Minister, why are you endangering the life of our speaker by not maintaining the road?
And my final prayer is for a proper statement from government on this, as I sit down, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable, I'm sorry for what is happening really in that area, but the Ministry of Works, together with the Ministry of Finance, they have to come here and tell us and go and make a follow-up on those roads, because Finance has to work with Ministry of Works. So a follow-up is going to be made. Thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister, yesterday, members also raised something related to do with UNRWA, whereby every day we were told here by a colleague that we pay around this. Yes, over that much.
The minister has come, so, Right Honorable.
I've taken long seeing a minister being given such a reception. So, Honorable Kasaija, you're welcome. Let Honorable Bahati brief you as we pick another matter, and then you're able to give us an answer on the two urgent matters. No, there are many matters which he has to at least respond to today. Honorable Rabshija also is related to Kasaija here. So, Honorable Margaret Rabshija. Honorable Noah Mutebi, Wanzala. Honorable Margaret Rabshija wanted to know on the delayed payment of salaries for teachers. Honorable colleagues, if you have a matter of national importance, please come to my office. I've received around 10 sheets here. Okay, now others who walk to the office and you who wait, send me a sheet when I'm seated here. Please, always come to office. Honorable Mutebi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for according me this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, my issue is similar to what Honorable Algon Cyrus has presented. The non-maintenance of our roads, which are supposed to be handled by UNRWA, which are supposed to be handled by districts. KCC has roads, cities have roads. But right, Honorable Speaker, I want to mention, be specific to my constituents. Nakasongola Bamgode Road, which is 60 kilometers, the road which I used to go to the district headquarters, it's in the Soro State. You find taxis lining up, people are pushing, and your worker also comes and meet them. People rubbish you, people, of course, they utter serious statements. Right, Honorable Speaker, there are also a number of roads, as Honorable Cyrus has stated. There's Moreru Wampanga Kafu, that is 70 kilometers. There's Bombo Kalule in Luwero district. There is Kapeka, Butalangu, Ngoma. This is a national problem, Right, Honorable Speaker. I want to give you information. Right, Honorable Speaker, Uganda Road Fund is operating a budget of 483.3 billion for the following entities, which I've mentioned, Right, Honorable Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development released only 251.69 billion, which is 50.
Honorable, you know you have 2 minutes. So if you go into history, then we shall be in trouble. Prayers.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to lay on table the letter which was written by the Executive Director of Road Fund requesting for the money. My humble prayer, Right Honorable Prime Minister, Right Honorable Speaker, is that let the road from Nakasongola to Bamugorode be handled immediately, but also the Minister of Finance release the money to those entities so that our roads can be handled. Otherwise, members of Parliament are being rubbished by their electorates. I beg to submit.
Honorable Sarah Najuma.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
I'm the one who has allowed you. He didn't give you.
Yeah.
You're on my master. I'm the one who gave you.
Okay. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the information I wanted to give to Honorable Mtevi, he talked of the road from Matuga Kapeka. We had the president of, and that day we also expected the president of Uganda to visit. But UNRA panicked, even they worked at night on the stretch from Kapeka to Namunkekera, to Kapeka to Naluvule, where the industrial park stops. Honorable Speaker, the road from Matuga to Butalangu is the shortest route to the district headquarters. But that road was filled with maram. The potholes were filled with maram. We are in the rain season. The maram has been washed away. All Nakasike roads that are under UNRA are in a very sorry state. If you are to travel to Ngoma using Luwero Butalangu, Ngoma, it is also becoming impassable. So by the way, it is the worst. So if you are heading to Ngoma, you have to pass via Nakasongola, which is a bit far. The road from Matuga, you can't use it at night because of potholes. Honorable Speaker, Nakaseke, we've been patient enough. I think we need to bring a petition to your office about Nakaseke roads. I think that's when we shall be heard. Thank you so much.
Colleagues, on the issues of roads, okay, we have item number 4 on the order paper. Okay, we have item number 4. Honorable Cyrus and colleagues, no honorable state of praise. We have item number 4 on the order paper, which is about motion for resolution of Parliament urging government to urgently operationalize the road fund, which we are going to debate. And Honorable Minister, I request you ensure you don't go. There are 2 motions at least I would want you. Item number 3 and item number 4. We need you to be here as the Minister of Finance to ensure you give responses. I've received Honorable, whether this question you've sent, it's not a matter of urgency. This is a question which you need to give either to the Minister for oral answer or the Prime Minister to answer in Prime Minister's question time. So I'm passing it over to the Prime Minister to ensure it is answered Thursday. Because you can see now, if you go, you prepare like this, you prepare yourself, can't get it. it doesn't help much. Honorable Agnes Kunihira? Honorable Agnes Kunihira? Honorable Cyrus, I want the minister to answer you when he's going to respond. After Agnes Kunihira, the minister is coming up to respond to a few issues, starting with coffee. Money for coffee seedlings, as raised yesterday. Honorable Agnes Kunihira.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank you for finding space for us to move a motion to bring an amendment on the Anti-Trafficking Act. But however, we are still consulting and we therefore request that you give us more time. We shall come again. Thank you.
Okay. Saija, yesterday, I think, was it yesterday, colleagues? Honorable, I think the other day on Tuesday. Yes, Honorable Enos from Kabura, and with complementary information from very many members, told us that we are no longer getting coffee seedlings from UCDA because Minister of Finance has refused to give UCDA money for coffee seedlings. As you know, Honorable Minister, and as a member of Parliament, those coffee seedlings, this is one of the corporate social responsibilities we've been doing as Parliament, and MPs going to mobilize communities to engage into agriculture. And the President and you have been proudly talking about the achievements made in the coffee sector in terms of the bags more than tripling. But now all of a sudden, all these colleagues, they have nursery bed operators who have the seedlings. They are ready, but they are saying there is no money, and yet we budgeted for that money. So we need you to tell us when we shall get our coffee seedlings, because it seems they said the problem is with finance. Number two, the question of Honorable Cyrus. I don't know whether we shall handle it under item number 4, but quickly you can tell us whether you're releasing money for the road fund, because the MPs are doing badly. No, Honorable Cyrus, please. Honorable Minister of Finance, the one of coffee mainly, then the rest with the road fund. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Speaker, sir, and the colleagues, let me congratulate you, Mr. Speaker, because since we elected you, I have never appeared before you in this August House.
Colleagues, order. Let's listen to the minister. You wanted him to give you answers. Now you're taking him into other things. Honorable Minister, they are not on record.
Honorable Speaker, on the question, we should not talk about only coffee, but tea as well. We should speak about tea and coffee. No, we are talking about coffee and tea because they are nurseries, which many people have invested their seedlings, and tea seedlings are ready for planting this season. It's an urgent matter. Now, sir, I would beg this House, not that I'm trying to evade the question, that I return at the earliest opportunity you give me to give you a comprehensive answer of what we are planning to do. I don't want to give half an answer. I have.
Honorable Minister, come Tuesday next week.
Sorry?
Tuesday.
Thank you.
That's the next city.
Then the roads. Honorable Mutebi and other people or other members of parliament who have got a concern on this, because without roads, you can do almost nothing. I have just been with the member palace of Kanga. He was telling me a story where when they load a truck of matoke, they have to offload part so that they can reach the tarmac. Now that cannot be good business, and that cannot help the farmers to earn money. They will want them to earn money. On that one, on the roads, we are planning to have money in the coming financial year, because now I don't have the money in the budget. And again, I will ask your indulgence, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, I will come and give you a detailed schedule of how we are going to be tackling these various roads that you have talked about.
Honorable, return next week with both statements. Next
Thank you.
item.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item number 3, motion for resolution of Parliament urging government to develop a documented comprehensive taxation policy.
Honorable Javira Semwanga. Honorable Semuju, what is the problem?
The Speaker, a while ago, you said something had made you happy, and you actually invited us to take advantage of that happiness. I am fearing, I don't know how long it will take. And yet there is a matter that I'd wanted to raise you, taking advantage of that happiness.
No, Honorable, if it's a matter of national importance?
No, it is not a matter of, it's not a matter of national importance. I simply want to take advantage of the happiness because you issued an invitation, Mr. Speaker, that we should take advantage. And I can't guarantee either in the next 1 hour or tomorrow you'll still be happy. So if you allow me, Mr. Speaker.
Go on, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, I have a problem which I guess many colleagues share. We use roads in Kororo. These days, as we come to Parliament today, you know, I also keep time, and I want to thank you for keeping time. I have spent a whole hour. There are military trucks that have sealed off those roads, and I am told that's where the president is holding his meetings. Roads around Nakasero State House that are KCC roads are also sealed off because that's where the president stays. Now that the Prime Minister is here and taking advantage, if the State House doesn't have a big compound, maybe we procure a compound for the president, because sometimes it is either him or his wife. The son. I use the banks near Kororo. Sometimes I go without money for a whole week because there are. So I thought I should use the advantage of that matter that made you happy to raise this matter so the Prime Minister can help us. We find a compound for the family of the president so they don't stop parking trucks in the middle of the road.
Honorable, this Parliament, our work is very well cut out. We don't have capacity to assess the security needs and deployment of the president. That's a work for people whom we facilitate to do that work. Whatever they assess, and someone can even say that how come passing via that Parliament Avenue, I cannot be allowed to come sit next to the pavement, I eat my food, or I even have a nap. It's because of your security. So the security of the president is not something for whose deployment can be discussed here. But the Prime Minister has taken concern. You can share with him anytime if there are any further issues regarding that. And you, colleagues, next item. Next item, Honorable Javira.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Semwanga Javira. I represent Buyamba County in Rakai District. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise under Rule 56 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government to develop a documented comprehensive taxation policy. Whereas Parliament enacted and continues to enact a number of tax laws, and government has been able to achieve the objectives of taxation through imposition of various tax reforms over the years, and whereas the tax policy in Uganda has revolved around the creation of revenue agency, harmonization of tax rates, and has seen an introduction of tax exemptions and incentives. Noting that Uganda's main tax policy objective has been to rapidly increase public revenue in Uganda. Like other developing countries, Uganda faces tremendous pressure to broaden its tax base owing to its commitment and need to finance development goals. Further noting that a good tax policy should be based on indicators of equity and fairness, certainty, convenience of payment, effective tax administration, information security, simplicity, neutrality, economic growth and efficiency, transparency and visibility, minimum tax gap, accountability to taxpayers, and appropriate government revenues. Concerned that Right Honorable Speaker, the domestic revenue mobilization strategy developed by the Ministry of Finance in 2020 indicates that there is no documented taxation policy for Uganda, and that Uganda's tax policy is driven largely by short-term pressures. If there is a need for anything, the government imposes taxes on the available taxpayers, Right Honorable Speaker. Further concerned that the absence of a documented taxation policy leaves the government with an unfettered discretion on what taxes to levy, when to levy, and on whom to levy, which leads to an unfair taxation system. Now, therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, be it resolved by this Parliament that 1, government develops and publicizes a comprehensive taxation policy document for Uganda based on principles of good taxation. 2, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development creates a framework to ensure effective implementation of the domestic revenue mobilization strategy. I beg to move.
Thank you, Honorable Javira. Is the motion seconded? Oh, Honorable Nyangweso, Honorable colleagues on your face, Nakut. So, Honorable, 5 minutes, speak to your motion, because the issues are very clear here. So speak to your motion.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. As we have heard all members talking about their challenges in their respective constituencies, the government cannot finance them if we are not collecting enough money. Right Honorable Speaker, according to the current Charter of Fiscal Responsibility, Uganda's tax to GDP is low at about 13%. This is way below the required at least 20% to sustainably support Uganda's developmental requirements as per the third National Development Plan. Right Honorable Speaker, the size of domestic revenue is critical in determining the country's ability to finance its development requirements without relying excessively on financial external assistance and borrowing. We need a tax policy, Right Honorable Speaker. According to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, domestic revenue collections increased slightly from 14.5 trillion in financial year 2017-2018 to 16.635 trillion in financial year 2018-2019 to 17.285 trillion in financial year 2019-2020 to 19.83 trillion in financial year 2020-2021. And it is projected to increase to 21.500 trillion in financial year 2021-2022 in nominal terms. This situation, Right Honorable Speaker, has got two implications. One, this revenue collection has consistently fallen below the national targets as per the national development plans. Two, when measured in real terms, there has been no negligible improvement in revenue collection. For example, NDP2 targeted revenue to GDP of about 16% by financial year 2019-2020, which was not achieved, Right Honorable Speaker. And NDP3 targeted an average of revenue to GDP ratio of 15.39% after GDP rebasing. Nonetheless, Right Honorable Speaker, revenue performance has stagnated around 12 to 13% for the same period, way below the national development targets. This implies that, Right Honorable Speaker, the nominal improvement in revenue collection have been due to natural growth. Natural growth, it can be an increase in population, which can increase aggregate demand, but it has not been a work of the Ministry of Finance, neither Uganda Revenue Authority, as it's a natural growth as opposed to a natural strategy. I mean a working strategy. Right Honorable Speaker, the informal nature of much of our country's economy, tax avoidance, tax exemption, weak capacity of revenue, denies the Uganda Revenue Authority denies Uganda up to 50% to deliver services to our constituencies and to the country, to our people down there in Rakai, in Irwamagwa, Buyamba, Right Honorable Speaker. Reforms to reduce tax avoidance, Right Honorable Speaker, unclear exemptions, a narrow tax base. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to tap into the semi-formal sector, into the semi-formal economic activities. We need to improve, Right Honorable Speaker, the efficiency of Uganda Revenue Authority, because these remains tasks and we need to increase focus on them, Right Honorable Speaker. Tax exemptions alone, Right Honorable Speaker, deny the economy about 3 percentage points of the revenue to GDP ratio. Actually, we would have even achieved the National Development Plan 3 targets if we do not have these tax exemptions. Taxation is approached from a reactive approach that prioritizes deepening taxes on a few taxpayers to meet revenue targets, as opposed to a sustainable measure that enables expansion of the tax base. Indeed, Right Honorable Speaker, more than 50% of this economy do not pay taxes. And the result of this has been, one, levying of inappropriate taxes, like social media tax, you can name them, the proposed housing tax, and yet we have a deficit of 2.4 million households, which means that government levies taxes without putting in consideration of the impacts of the tax on the welfare of the people we represent. Two, leaving tax exemptions under the discretion of the minister. The minister is the one to decide on whom to exempt, when and how. And if the minister misuses his powers, the whole country will suffer. Three, a narrow tax base which leaves out majority of taxpayers, burdening a few with multiple taxes. Four, Right Honorable Speaker, insensitive taxes whose impact on the economy remains unknown. Five, lack of streamlined processes to inform research on taxation. 6, limited accountability on the functionality, efficiency, and effectiveness of taxation system. Right Honorable Speaker, in my view, and in the views above, if we are to save this economy from excessive borrowing, we need to raise our tax revenue collections to support the national budget and avoid excessive borrowing. I wish to move the motion to urge the government to develop a comprehensive tax policy, and that the minister will be required to present the progress during the presentation of the budget proposals for financial year 2022-2023. I beg to submit.
Thank you. But Honorable, you should have updated your motion. We already received the budget proposals, and the committee on budget is about to finish. I think they were completing yesterday or even today, comprehensive reports from the various sector committees. So let me give 3 minutes to the seconders because I want other colleagues also to participate, and at exactly 4 we have Prime Minister's time. Honorable Nyangweso.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. This being my maiden opportunity to catch your eye, allow me to congratulate you on behalf of the people of Samia Central upon ascending to that office. For the record, my name is Dennis Nyangweso. I represent Samia County Central in Busha District. I rise to support the motion to urge government to develop and document a comprehensive tax policy for this country. Right Honorable Speaker and members, tax policy in this country to very many members of the public, including members of parliament. Every financial year, the minister responsible for finance presents to this house tax bills with the amendments which have been agreed upon or decided upon by a few technocrats in the Ministry of Finance. Right Honorable Speaker and members, unlike the debt policy in this country, which is a consultative process, the tax policy is developed by a department in the Ministry of Finance. The few technocrats keep on imagining how they are going to fund the budget, and they come up with a few proposals which they present to this parliament. Unfortunately, the amendments have not always been supported by the regulatory assessment, impact assessments, which would guide especially members of the sector committee of finance and also on the budget committee. And therefore, decision-making becomes a matter of institution on the side of the members of parliament. Right Honorable Speaker and members, there are a few companies which have taken advantage of the informal tax policy in this country, depending on how connected they are, to ask and request and benefit from a few exemptions. There are very few members of parliament here who can authoritatively who can authoritatively talk about how does one qualify for what exemption in what business, and how these exemptions are given and by who. I take the clarification, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I seek to know from the colleague, the one seconding the motion, and the mover, whether this country does not have a tax policy, and what they mean when they say we have an informal tax policy. I really seek clarification from them. Don't we have a tax? You mean, especially when you say we have been operating on an informal tax policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The motion is very clear. We are not talking about designing or formulating a tax policy. The motion is to urge government to document a comprehensive tax policy for this country. For example, if I come across an investor outside this country and I want them to come and invest, I do not know exactly how they can benefit from the available incentives. I only need to go, and this is a discretion of the officer who is granting these incentives.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, I've been listening attentively. And I didn't want to disrupt my colleagues. Movers of this motion, including the NRM MPs, and they know that the policy in this country, if you have an investor, you go to State House. Mr. Speaker, is he in order to tell the Parliament that he doesn't know that the policy in this country, once you have an investor like the one of Rubowa, you go to State House or coffee?
I think Honorable Semuju, that's not a point of order. You are giving a point of information. You were informing a colleague. I want us to listen. I want us to listen attentively, because what the member is saying is a comprehensive, and the comprehensive is a relative word. Okay? So to a member, this is not comprehensive. And he's urging and he's showing areas that are not comprehensive enough. And he's saying document everything so that each and everything to do with the taxation is not a matter of you knowing who or going to State House, as you're saying, but clearly defined in a certain document. And it's the only document that can be based on, not a negotiation, not anything else. Okay? So let us listen to colleagues. And these are new colleagues. I'm really happy to find that new colleagues, whom people and very young colleagues, and they're the ones bringing it. And even we seniors, we are running. So this is kudos to the new colleagues. Let's allow the young ones to shine.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. As I conclude, we realize that the 2022-2023 budget estimates as laid here by the Minister of Finance represents 47 trillion shillings, with only 25 trillion shillings as expected revenue to be collected. And this is only 53% of the total budget. And you have heard from the mover of this motion that the tax exemptions alone cost this country 3 percentage points in terms of tax to GDP. And this money can help this country in terms of what members are crying out of their services. We need roads, we need hospitals, we need staff, we need teachers in schools. And this can only be done through when the country has a very well-documented, comprehensive policy. I urge members really to support this motion. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Okay, that would want to increase our tax to GDP ratio. Now it's around 13%. If we pushed it around 21%, Honorable Minister, we would raise around 9.5 trillion extra, which would save us from the borrowing. Now, what we want to know is, what is the gap in the current tax policy? Colleagues who are coming to debate, that should be the issue. What is the gap and what can we urge government to include? Okay, to fill the gap in the current policy. Honorable Kateshumba is one of the experts in taxation. Guide us.
Right Honorable Speaker, I stand here to support the motion of my colleague, I want to say that the first tax registration in Uganda was in 1919, following the first formal tax, which was the hard tax that was introduced in 1900. Since then, we have had tax laws, but tax laws that are not informed by a comprehensive taxation policy. Colleagues, taxation is the only practical means of raising revenue to finance goods and services that most of us demand. And taxation is not just revenue, it is more than revenue. It is a tool for development. It is therefore important that as we legislate year in, year out, and pass tax bills, that government comes up with a taxation policy that is actually customized our economic structure and future aspirations. This will be able to guide and give a refined approach as we develop our tax policy measures, both here and at the East African community level, where we are members of the ESC and we are implementing the common external tariff under the common market protocol. Right Honorable Speaker, like my colleague mentioned, our policies, our tax laws, sometimes are bypassed with a lot of inconsistency in terms of exemptions. They have been pointed out. There is a study that was done by the and in 2017-18, it was estimated that Uganda lost about 900 billion, which was an equivalent to about 3% of our budget in exemptions. Some of these exemptions are discretionary and they undermine the efforts of the revenue administration in meeting its target. Right Honorable Speaker, when you give a target to URA and the next month,
Honorable Katesh.
Yes.
Without interrupting you, okay? We've agreed there is a problem. Tell us what needs to be done. That's a major focus now. Because what are the gaps so that we focus on that? Because we all agree we want to raise more money and we want to be fair in our taxation regime.
Right Honorable Speaker, what we want is that all of us in government and in parliament need to take decisions on tax matters following a policy, not depending on the level of negotiation that someone approaches a certain office. This will help us achieve the principles that we need and also promote investment in this country. I beg to submit.
Honorable Minister, Fairness Minister, so colleagues had opened up to the seconders. Now for the next 15 minutes, it will be you colleagues, and we conclude this matter, and I'll start with Honorable Sarira. And then I'll follow with Honorable Max Ochai. I'll be picking one, and we use 2 minutes each so that.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you, and I want to support the motion. Right Honorable Speaker, a good law is usually preceded by a policy. And the concern of the movers of the motion is that we have numerous taxation laws that have no backing of policy. And as a result, we have laws that are hanging. They are out there. So I think it is important as a country, as a government, even as parliament, to consider that each time we bring a taxation law, it must be backed up by a policy. And it is in that spirit, Right Honorable Speaker, that I support this motion. We should not, in the future, allow this parliament to pass any taxation law without a corresponding policy. I am aware that we have passed laws here that have policies. Right Honorable Speaker, we did pass the land law here some time back. There is a land policy in this country. And I know there are many other laws that are supported by policies. What is so special about taxes? Finally, Right Honorable Speaker,
The reason why we even need a policy relates to what the Honorable Semuju has said, and Katesh has mentioned it here. We have, for example, the issue of tax exemptions. We don't have a policy on tax exemptions in this country. You don't know who and how to access an exemption. And I want, Veteran Speaker, on the top of the prayers to add that this country and Ministry of Finance comes up with a comprehensive evaluation of the benefits of tax exemptions for the last 10 years and a review of the existing exemptions and whether they are.
Honorable Max Ochai.
Yeah, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to make a contribution to the debate on the floor. But before I do that, may I use the same opportunity, first of all, to congratulate you upon ascension to that office. That said, I would have reason to support the motion, and I would want to state from the word go that coming up with a document on taxation policy in Uganda is merely a necessary condition that can help us to enhance our revenue collection. I think what is more important, which actually should be addressing the critical challenge that our government is facing, is coming up with a document that provides guidelines in formulation of tax policy in Uganda. And that precisely is what our domestic resource mobilization strategy, the strategy document, is prescribing. That strategy document clearly recognizes that our tax policy is well embedded in the So, and that actually follows even the international best practices known to all of us. So what's important for us is to ensure that we have the guidelines that can enable everybody interested to participate in the tax policy formulation, and then ensure that during the execution of the tax policy, we follow the guidelines that are already in place. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Honorable Faith Nakut, Honorable Gilbert Oranya.
Right, Honorable Speaker. The need for a comprehensive tax policy cannot be underestimated. It is true, and members have testified in other forums, that when you are tax compliant, that's when you get misunderstood until you leave business. That has forced many businesses in Uganda to close in a short time because there is no comprehensive tax policy. In the finance, a petition from Uganda Tourism Board on behalf of hotel owners that they are having over 20 taxes to deal with. So, and they felt like it is making their business fail to grow. So when we have a comprehensive policy, we will have all Ugandans contributing so that the burden is not on a few. Therefore, I agree with the motion. Thank you.
Honorable colleagues, I'm trying, and I'm sorry, but I'm trying to pick colleagues who haven't spoken today. Yeah.
Yes.
No, when I'm picking a colleague, I don't know whether you support or you don't. Me, I pick you. It's you who say, Gilbert, do you support the motion? Because Honorable Semuja said I pick only those who support.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to thank the mover of the motion. This motion is very talk now. URA, for example, URA is levying taxes on Ugandans on the assumptions. Right now, URA, they assume that you have this amount of taxes you are supposed to pay. Ugandans are receiving messages from URA urging them to clear their tax arrears. Sometimes they tell you you have millions of shillings you are supposed to pay on taxes. Therefore, this motion
is going to help Ugandans to pay exactly what they are supposed to pay. Two, Right Honorable Speaker, I would like the minister who is here to tell Ugandans the criteria of giving tax exemptions. We are ever witnessing big companies who are supposed to pay taxes to the revenue of this country, they are being exempted from paying taxes. And those who are running small companies, those who have small businesses, URA is after them now and then, and they'll never go without paying taxes. Let the minister be very clear on this issue. Three, Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of tax holidays. Let minister also tell us clearly, who are the companies who are supposed to benefit from tax holidays? Those who are able people, those who are running big businesses are given tax holidays. They are not paying taxes. But Ugandans, the citizens who are toiling day and night, are the ones paying taxes. Therefore, my colleague, this motion is very important, and I pray
Mbarara, and then I'll pick DP. DP told me, but I by convincing you haven't given me the results of your discussion.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I do stand to second the motion. In the first place, I think all our minds are still fresh with the coffee deal. Vinci, Pinetti talk about those, you're very familiar. I do support the motion because if we have a comprehensive tax policy, I think it will help us to with such discriminatory tendencies in taxation and incentive waivers so that we may run away from monopolies that are not good in business. But also for the benefit of growing our small and medium enterprises, if we do have a comprehensive tax policy, we'll be able to nurture and reduce the death span of the SMEs that right now do not live beyond 5 years. But also, Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of promoting gender and equity is very important for businesses. Right now, most of the women are cluttered in the informal sector, in markets, because they fear taxes. If it is a comprehensive policies in place, we'll be able to mandate, for instance, URA, to do that tax and educate people so that we don't only grow businesses, but we can as well earn more revenues. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Then I have one who has declared he doesn't support Honorable Semuju.
Thank you, Honorable Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also rise to second the motion on about 3 grounds. Ground number 1 is that as the key word in the motion, comprehensiveness, the tax policy, tax regime in this country is not comprehensive. And that is a gap in itself because it doesn't tackle the taxable capacity adequately. We need to tackle taxable capacity because overtaxing destroys business. Undertaxing leaves money that government could use for other development needs. But also, Right Honorable Speaker, the tax base in our country is narrow, but we need to have more taxpayers paying less taxes instead of few people paying more taxes. Number 2, Right Honorable, is that tax is an item of regulation. We need to depend on tax to reduce consumption of drugs in this country. But we need also tax to increase consumption of those items that are produced locally. And this tax policy should help us to follow our own economic policy, including that of BUBU. Right, Honorable Speaker. We have also another gap in our tax policy and regime. There is need to harmonize the different taxes that are collected by URA and those that are collected by local governments. Just recently, there was
Honorable Semuju.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. First, I thought at the beginning that the Honorable Matia Kasaija will be activated to say the policy exists, but he's just enjoying himself as he has done before.
Honorable, what is he enjoying?
He's enjoying his seat. Mr. Speaker, I know the policy exists. If there are gaps, we can address them. But I don't agree that since we started processing taxation bills, budgets, that we've been operating without a policy. The policy is there. What the movers and seconders of the motion want to address is a completely different matter. Is a different matter of a super being who sits there, contracts agreements, and summons the Honorable Matia Kasaija to summon, sometimes even without reading. I can bring evidence here. One day, when an Attorney General was summoned to State House to sign an agreement, he had not read the rate Nyombi, and he signed it. They usually do. So that's what we need to be dealing with as a country. We should take on the bull by its horn. These exemptions are not done by the owner. And so when they tell them you exempt, they exempt. That's why even when they say there is no taxation, he keeps quiet, and he knows the policy is there. Finally, Mr. Speaker.
No, Honorable Semuju, you don't give yourself time. Colleagues, I suspend this debate. As Rule 41 of our rules of procedure says, at 4 p.m. exactly, the Prime Minister should be here presenting. I want to follow the rule. Approved. So let's start with item 7, then we shall resume debate after. Okay, we shall resume debate after. Let's start with item 7.
Item number 7, statement of government business of the succeeding week.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I move under Rule 28 of our rules of procedure that requires me as leader of government business to make a statement in this House regarding the business of the succeeding week. I am therefore submitting the following government business for the coming week. Right Honorable Speaker, following bills. The Animal Feeds Bill 2021. And number 2, the Organ Transplant Bill 2021. I beg to move.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I think each week when you present business, we shall also require you to tell us whether you presented the business for the other week. Because the business you told us is coming this week did not come. No, I have the order paper, been on the order paper. Yes, I know I've been working on the order paper. It didn't come. Your own motion from Minister of Finance did not come. Yeah, so I know what I'm talking about, right, Honorable Prime Minister, and it's in good faith. Okay, so ministers, the Prime Minister is not the one who is running around for this. This comes from you. So when you tell the Prime Minister that you're going to bring this business, kindly ensure that you submit it, because when she says this, then we reserve space on the order paper for this business. Now, the moment it doesn't come, you'll find us now we are disorganized, trying to look for other business to put on the order paper. So that's very important. Let's ensure that indeed we follow upon it. What's the procedure matter, Honorable?
Mr. Speaker, you've suspended debate on a motion under Rule 41 to allow the Prime Minister to deal with the Prime Minister's time. But the Prime Minister has made a statement under 28 is whether the Prime Minister is determining which business transact, because you had generated so because it was 4 p.m. under Rule 41 for her to deal with the Prime Minister's question time, but she chose to present a statement on business under 28 of the preceding week.
Yeah. So, Honorable, the Prime Minister didn't choose what to do or what to present. I'm the one who chose. This is just a 1-2 minute, I'm the one who told her to start with item number 7, and then now I'm calling another item. So all these are items of the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister is in order and she's proceeding properly. So next item, Prime Minister's time. And
time.
Colleagues, we haven't gazetted our rules, our amended rules. So we are still operating with the rules which we have been having. So Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, the Honorable Jennifer Mbabazi, the woman MP Kagadi District, asked the Prime Minister, asked me why the Mohoro-Rondaiga road has not been included in the roads planned for construction during the NDP3 period, that is 2020-2025. My response, Right Honorable Speaker, is the road is a gravel road in the district of Kagadi, which is maintained through the Uganda National Roads Authority, Hoima Station. The preliminary designs for Mohoro-Rondaiga was completed. This road is located in the Western Rift Valley. Hence, government requires more money to work on the 25-kilometer stretch than the 104 kilometers worked on from Mubende, Kakumiro, Chibale, Kagadi. Government is looking for funds to work on that road because it connects Uganda to DRC on Lake Albert. Under phase 1, the road from Kakumiro Mubende, Chibale Kagadi is now complete using government of Uganda funds by a Chinese company called CCCC. Mohoro-Rondaiga road underwent mechanized maintenance in August 2021. The road is currently in a motorable state. Government will continue maintaining the road as gravel until we get money to tarmac it. Honorable Akamba Paulo, MP Busiki. County and Bunyore West, where the contractor had halted the construction and abandoned the site and requested that government intervenes as soon as possible to ensure the bridge is completed. That Honorable Speaker, the bridge is on Ulange, Kasiro, and Busabi, Huduma, connecting the districts of Taleja and Namutumba. The contractor is called Excel Construction Limited. The project is expected. Currently, the physical progress of the construction stands at 90%. Honorable Speaker, the construction of all the drainage structures, including box and the pipe culverts, have been completed. The filling of the swamp with rocks has also been completed. The construction of the road on top of the filled rock stands at 87%. Honorable Speaker, government is committed to complete this project to boost productivity in that area. Honorable Odul Johnson, MP, Erute County South. That there has been a ruthless eviction of people from wetlands in Lira, Teso, and Acholi. Indiscriminate destruction of crops by the environment police, and the need for 3 grant of grace period by the National Environment Management Authority to those affected to enable the maturity and harvest of their food crops. My response, Right Honorable Speaker, is that Ministry of Water and Environment identified 16 critical wetlands across the country based on their basic features such as sources of water supply, wastewater sinks, all being wetlands of international importance. That is Ramsar sites. The critical wetlands where government is currently undertaking management interventions include Tochi, Aswa, and Okore, Oracha in northern Uganda, Rimoto, Awoja, Bisinia, Opeta, Lakeshore wetlands in Teso sub-region. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, in 2019, government conducted extensive sensitization to farmers in the above regions and granted a grace period to enable farmers harvest their crops. However, farmers continued to plant crops in the wetlands beyond the grace period. Honorable Speaker, you know the eco benefits that come with wetlands. Government is committed to protect wetlands across the country, including areas of Lira, Tesobukedi, Acholi sub-regions. A comprehensive list by the Ministry of Water and Environment of permissible activities in various, he wants a comprehensive list. So, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the Environment Act 2019, Section 5411, provides for traditional uses of wetlands to include A, harvesting of papyrus, medicinal plants, trees, and reeds. B, fishing using traps, spears, and baskets, or other methods other than wares. C, collection of water for domestic use. And D, hunting subject to the provisions of Wildlife Act. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, you will realize that a schedule under Schedule 6 of the same Act categorizes any other activities in wetlands besides the above listed as regulated activities, and therefore requires application and requisite permission from the relevant lead agencies to be carried out. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Right Honorable Prime Minister, there is national importance, but I felt it needed you to be here. So I told the member to wait until you come. So Honorable Faith Kunhira, you can use a minute, because I saw you following up on that same matter, Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, and I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you on taking up that seat. Right Honorable Speaker, we are all aware that yesterday, accident that happened between Chenjojo and Fort Potro that left a number of lives dead and others severely injured. Right Honorable Speaker, the hospital in Kabarole, the referral hospital, has been overwhelmingly overwhelmed by the number of victims, in the sense that the number of surgeons, because most of the cases are surgical, they are not able to handle the people that have been injured in that Rwenzori region. Of all the Rwenzori region, Right Honorable Speaker, have been involved in such a way that we have to spend right from our pockets to hire ambulances to transfer victims to different hospitals. And this is our request. Frankly, it is overwhelming when there is no national response to such a big tragedy that other newspapers have just referred to as a massacre. And we do not see the national response. And here is our prayer that, number one, that there be a national response from the Prime Minister's office or the relevant offices to be able to follow up with the victims where they are, because some victims, a mother and a child, are both involved, and there is no response, there is no help. People have hands cut off, and up to this morning, we still had victims laying there without proper medical care. This is our request, that there be a national team that responds to this accident issue. Number two, that financial support be given to the bereaved families and those that are also injured because they are in a state of need. Number three, that in the future, the nation does plan to have things like air ambulance, because these accidents are happening every now and again, but to also respond to these kind of accidents at national level and not leaving them for referral hospitals at local level where they cannot handle. Thank you so much, Speaker.
Right Honorable Prime Minister, I felt this was really, colleagues, an issue which needed the Prime Minister is the one to handle.
Right Honorable Speaker, this is really a matter of national importance, like you have stated. I want to inform the country that we got information, this sad news, and I want to thank my honorable colleague for bringing this matter here. The Minister National Referral Hospital has been notified, and some of the victims are going to be transferred to Mulago for further management. But of course, I can see that we really need the ambulance, like she has stated, and this parliament has got powers to budget. I want to inform you, we have always been using the army helicopters to evacuate such cases, and I believe really the Minister of Health will be supported by this House to get an ambulance, an air ambulance for us all in the near future. I am also going to use my powers as Prime Minister to see that we provide support to the victims. Thank you so much.
So right now I request you link with Honorable Faith Kunihira. She has been coordinating all this effort. We do help our people. Leader of opposition.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. In my right to reply, I will commence with the road. Yeah, the Prime Minister made a response to that question on this road which moves from Muvende, Kakumiro, Mohorolo, Ndaiga road. It is in the Rift Valley, which means it is in a hard to reach, complicated terrain. And therefore it required urgent attention because the people, the citizens that are living there must be leading a very deplorable life. But in your submission, you say government is still looking for money. When in the budget 2022-2023, we have already an allocation of 80 billion. And this is a road connecting Muvende, Ndaiga, Kakumiro to DRC. But the 80 billion I'm talking about is earmarked for constructing roads in DRC. So where is government priority, Madam Right Honorable Prime Minister? Do you love the citizenry of Congo more than those of Uganda? Honestly? They say, are you a Ugandan, so to speak? The second one, which was raised by Honorable Akamba Paul, about the bridge, which I also know. That bridge between Busiki, Vunyore West is on my way to Vududa. And it is horrible. Actually, it is terrible. And now the report, according to the complaint, which is a right complaint from the populace, this contractor has mysteriously disappeared. I expected in your response to prevail over him, to use your powers and office to prevail over the contractor to avail himself on site. He has disappeared, and the project is to be completed by the way in July, and the July is not very far from now. The other question was of Honorable Oduru Johnson.
Honorable, you don't need to respond to each and every.
No, I'm making a comment on each of them. Thank you.
No, if Honorable.
I'm protected by the rule.
No. Rule 41, sub rule 9.
Yes.
Okay, gives the right of comment or reply, but doesn't give you, I determine the time. It should be general. You can't say I'll go on each and every matter.
I'm also obliged. I will not challenge your ruling. But let me conclude. The ruthless eviction, I don't know whether I'm touching where it hurts most, but this is very important, which was raised by the MP of Erute North. And you also unequivocally state that there has been an aggressive sensitization of occupants of these wetlands. And even it was done way back in 2019. And the government is committed to protecting wetlands. The nearest places should be here in the central, in Kampala, in Namambe, so that the rest would model the way from here. But if it is lopsided, if it is only targeting or in the east, then many questions will be raised, question marks. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, on these recent victims of the road carnage, this one is a very important matter of urgent public importance. And I must salute the Right Honorable Prime Minister for the pledge she has made about the ambulance. But it's only in Uganda, Mr. Speaker, where government has lesser ambulances than funeral home cars, these cars.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Nambeshe, Leader of Opposition. Honorable colleagues, since the Prime Minister's time is government time, and we have some responses that are very urgent. You have been saying they are pending. Allow me to call out item number 9 so that these responses are done using that remaining time. We still have there around 25 to 30 minutes. Let's use it. Now, Honorable Numbers, please.
Response by ministers to urgent questions. Question 9A, Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs.
Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members. I start with the issue of the reported raise in fees for national identity cards. This is in regard to the question raised by the Honorable Lutamaguzi Paulson Semakula, MP Nakaseke County, on the hiking of fees for renewal of national identity cards from 50,500 shillings. Right Honorable Speaker, the National Identification and Registration Authority, NIRA, was established by the Registration of Persons Act 2015, ROPA, with the key mandate of creating, managing, maintaining, and operating a secure, credible, and accurate national identification register. Towards this end, the objective of credibility and accuracy, as expressed in Section 64 of the Act, obliges the organization to continuously update the information contained in the register or cancel the registration of a person under Section 70B, 1B, where the registration is based on inaccurate or incomplete information. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the Ministry of Internal Affairs appeared before the Parliamentary Committee for Defense and Internal Affairs during the presentation of the Ministerial Policy Statement for 2020, which is under the ministry, made the suggestion for an increment of application fees for citizens who seek to change dates of birth where the error was made by the card bearer. The background to this proposal is premised on the surge in applications ranging between 1,000 to 5,000 a month, with 85% of these applicants requesting for the adjustment to match the 25 to 38 age bracket. Furthermore, the 73% statistic of birth occurring in health facilities has only improved in the last 10 years. Other contributing factors on limited accurate information on birth for such requests can be attributed to past instability, migration and natural disasters, and the current 24% birth registration rate in the country. Therefore, where the information on birth is scanty, substantiating the request to change dates of birth with information recorded at birth is difficult. It was therefore hoped that such an increment would probably act as a deterrent for people who may seek to change information on the register relating to date of birth for dubious reasons. We have had even reported cases of public servants seeking to change their dates of birth in order to defer their retirement. Such changes put into question the credibility of Uganda's national identification register and could result in other countries subjecting Ugandans to further verification measures to ascertain the accuracy of the information about their ages. The other measures within the law to curb such vices include prosecution, fines, and imprisonment. In addition, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, NIRA proposed to strengthen registration of birth in health facilities to register babies within the first 9 months window so as to capture the event of birth as close as possible to when it occurred. The measure is expected to address future requests. It should be noted that the National Identification and Registration Authority corrects errors that could have been occasioned by an enrollment officer free of charge, and there's no proposal to change that. Currently, to change information regarding the date of birth, one is required to present the following: A statutory declaration registered with URSB to cancel the declaration they made and signed at registration. B, historical documentary evidence, e.g. academic documents, a birth notification record, and baptism records that support the application. C, an application fee of 50,000 shillings prescribed in the NERA regulations. This fee caters for a reprint of the national identity card and applies only to errors not occasioned by NERA. It should be mentioned that the first national identity card is issued free of charge. D, sworn affidavits of parents, if they are alive, or any person present at birth of the applicant. This is optional. When NERA receives this information, it is reviewed, and the organization may contact other entities that might have additional, also be subjected to an investigation to ascertain facts in the application, and the organization reserves the right to reject an application where they are not satisfied with evidence or where contradicting information from a credible source, e.g. health facility, is obtained. It should be noted, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, that NERA has the duty to verify and authenticate information relating to the registration and identification of persons to ensure the accuracy of such information. This process is time-consuming and costly. Honorable members, the revision for fees was proposed for only changes relating to correction of dates of birth and not all other changes as was misreported in the media. This proposal is still subject to consideration by government and all the stakeholders, including this Honorable House, and therefore has not been approved and effected. No fees are charged for a notification of change of particulars that does not require the issuance of a new identification card or alien's identification card. I hope, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, this explanation provides sufficient clarification on the matter. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Another statement? Honorable Minister, no, the member, I'll only allow the member who raised the issue. He's not here, so go to the next statement. Colleagues, you're the ones who said these statements are pending. I want them cleared, we go back. No, this is a statement. This is a matter which is not yet concluded. So let us allow them to do their work as executive, and then we are here. Honorable Minister, the next statement.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, this is a statement in response to another issue raised on the floor of this House on the alleged torture of a one Marinos Alexandria, otherwise also known as Esther. This is a matter already in the public domain and was leveled against the Department of the Military, to which the MOD spokesperson responded. And in my statement, I'll largely borrow from that response. The lady mentioned above appeared in a televised feature recently where she alleged that she had been abducted and tortured by so-called CMI officers, whom she identified as Ali Hassan and Elias Sengoba. No incontrovertible evidence was provided by the complainant that CMI was involved in the torture or detention. The Ministry of Defense spokesperson stated that they verified the grave allegations and responded as follows. One, that they categorically deny the claim that the UPDF/CMI was involved in this torture or detention. She is not known to CMI and has never been held in their detention at any one time. The two individuals she mentioned that allegedly tortured her are not members of the UPDF. Ali Hassan and Elias Sengoba seem to be people known to her for some time. Elias Sengoba in particular is also reportedly a neighbor to Marinos Alexandria, otherwise also known as Esther. Ali Hassan was involved in reporting her to Kinawataka police station in 2020 when she was reportedly suspected of possession of military stores. This was premised on reports that the local defense unit deserter whom she knew had abandoned some military stores which were in her possession. However, nothing incriminating against her was found, and she was reportedly subsequently released, according to the statement. 3, for the period Marinos Alexandria claims she was under detention, phone printouts taken also indicate that she was at her place overboard and continued to make numerous telephone conversations like any other person exercising her freedom, further corroborating the assertion that indeed she was never held nor tortured as claimed. Honorable members, this is the official perspective as given by the Minister of Defense spokesperson in response to the allegations. I do not have any reason to contest it. The allegations made were grave, albeit still unproven. Equally, the explanation given in response is credible. Since the persons she claims are culpable are identifiable, she can seek redress against them through the courts of law by instituting action against them. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members.
The member who raised the matter. Is the response sufficient?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, there was an allegation made against the security forces. The minister has responded that these are not security officers, and that we cannot deny. However, Right Honorable Speaker, what was also brought to my attention was that this lady went to Kinawataka police to report these people because she knew who they were. And the police refused to take her statement. I don't know what the Minister of Internal Affairs is saying about that. Is it in order really for the police to refuse to register a case when somebody goes to report? Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, because there were many people encouraging this lady to go. I think I heard even the police spokesperson saying that let her go to Ginger Road Police Station. I don't know whether the minister has interested himself as the line minister responsible for the security of civilians in this country, whether you have interested yourself in getting to this lady. Because once somebody is tortured to that extent, Right Honorable Speaker, if you saw the photographs, it's also traumatizing for her own security. I remember speaking to one of the ladies and I asked her whether she had gone back to her home because it was likely that she could be harmed. And they said, no, she's actually out of her home and somebody had offered to give her shelter for some time as they pursue this matter. So I want to find out from the Honorable Minister whether you, as a person, you have interested yourself in this matter, because the Attorney General who was here and gave us comfort said he was going to liaise with you so that you get to the bottom of this case. And also the DPP, Right Honorable Speaker, indicated that she was taking up this matter because it was of a grave nature. So we want to know whether beyond the statement from the UPDF spokesperson, which I found inappropriate because I expected them to investigate, not only to come and say that these are not UPDF officers. No, that's not enough. Nobody should torture another person in this country. Whether you're a security officer or a civilian connected to some security people, you should not torture anybody. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Honorable Minister.
Indeed, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the AG contacted the police leadership and I pledged to follow up to see what action was taken in regard to the honorable member's concern.
Thank you. Colleagues, on such a matters, beyond bringing them here, such a victim, such an alleged victim, you can help him or her to report to Uganda Human Rights Commission, where they can do thorough investigations, even award compensation, because sometimes we debate here, and in the end we make recommendations, and yet we are not able to even go deep in terms of investigations. So let this matter, I would really urge the colleague who knows her, she has other avenues. If they refuse to to file her case at police, there is the Uganda Human Rights Commission, where more, no, as alleged. You see, this is your word against someone else's word. And here you cannot conclude it, Honorable. You must read it, unless you want to take a side and you say, me, I'm going with this side, okay? But indeed, I saw those pictures, they were really traumatizing. So, Honorable Saro Pendi, please. Honorable Minister, there is an issue in regard to the IDs, which Honorable Tamaguzi passed on to the Honorable from Wakiso.
Thank you so much, Speaker.
Up on this.
Speaker, before he leaves, let's be also explained as a nation. Through you, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Minister should realize that all of us Ugandans who received national IDs at the start of the process, all our national IDs are going to expire on 2nd December 2024. And then we need a comprehensive program. What is the country going to do at that time? Given that it's a very big number, Honorable Speaker, and 50,000 is really a lot of money for many Ugandans out there. So can we please know what's the plan as far as all of us renewing on this matter? Thank you so much.
Honorable, shall we cease being Ugandans? Because, colleagues, this is a very important issue. You know, you present your ID somewhere for your own. Someone says you will cease being a Ugandan.
Indeed, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the IDs we bear now are supposed to be renewed en masse in 2024. And towards that end, a concept note has been developed by NIRA on how that process will be held. But I think for purposes of the country, indeed it's true about how this will happen. And I think we should do so soon enough through my boss, the Prime Minister.
When do you want to bring a statement?
Maybe even next week we can present it.
So next week on Thursday.
On Thursday.
We shall give
Thank
this
you, Right Honorable Speaker.
on the order paper. Minister of Education. Minister of Education, you had, Minister of Education is not here. So let's go back, colleagues, to our motion. It was a direct motion, colleagues, urging for a comprehensive tax policy. And we still have other motions where I know you also want to contribute in terms of debate. So our leader of opposition, make your comments. Minister of Finance responds, and I put the question.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. This motion for a resolution urging government to develop a documented taxation policy is a good one. And I would go a long way to anchor the interventions of government to enhance effectiveness and the efficiency of tax measures in our country. And while it is in order to develop a documented taxation policy, there is a serious general weakness on the part of government. This government, I think, has a serious challenge in implementing documents that are developed now, like this one. For instance, we have a domestic revenue mobilization strategy, which is gathering dust. Revenue mobilization strategy, very good one, well documented, not implemented. Another document is a national strategy for private sector development. The other one is accountability sector strategic investment plan. All these, if you were to go through, if one were to go through, are very, very good, important strategic taxation good plans, but they are never implemented. My take would be that the focus for this taxation policy should be on developing interventions of improving tax administration on ratios What we see is URA emphasizes mainly on filing, taxpayers filing ratios rather than collection ratios. Because if the allocation from the national budget to URA to go and collect taxes is about 500 million, say, and the target is to collect do you meet the target with 1 shilling of, say, if the target is 100 with the 1 shilling, or government is spending more on facilitating collection of taxes? Because it seems URA emphasizes on how many are on the register, how many taxpayers are on the register, how many are filing returns, rather than meeting the target. Because internationally, there has to be targets. But our tax authority hardly focuses on the collection ratios, but more, they spend more or concentrate more focus on filing ratios. This should change. Mr. Speaker, there has to be also an undertaking on post-legislative scrutiny for each taxation of the provision of such a tax on the citizenry. We had a tax called mobile money tax. It was very unpopular. Why? Because at that time, even when mobile money digital financial transaction had gained prominence amongst even the poor of the poor, the youth, when this tax was introduced, that prominence grumbled, and actually there were very few that remained on the digital platform of mobile money. So there has to be legislative scrutiny, subject this tax to scrutiny, a post-legislative scrutiny to know the impact, how it has impacted on the citizenry. Is it meeting or contributing to the realization of their aspirations, and particularly sharing the national cake? Thank you, and I conclude with an undertaking and the publishing of regulatory impact assessment. I know the Honorable Kate Shumba should be knowing this. This highlights a kind of a cost-benefit analysis. It helps to determine the costs and the benefits that will accrue as the effect of that tax. This will help to address the gap of determining the provisions of the proposed taxes and the projected burden to the taxpayer. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Leader of Opposition. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and the colleagues. I wish to thank and congratulate the move of this motion. It has energized me. You know, money is never enough. Parliament wants more resources. Defense wants more resources. Agriculture wants more resources, and so forth. So I'm very elated and very happy that we are addressing this question of tax revenues. And I encourage you to help me, show me what I should do in order to enhance our tax. So, on this tax and the policy and the strategy, actually we should be speaking about the two. The tax policy, now somebody is asking me for the coffee.
Honorable Matia Kasaija, anyone who is not on record of Parliament, please don't respond.
And I don't have, Mr. Speaker, to say he's out of order. Okay, so
Procedure.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable.
Honorable Minister, take your seat.
Right Honorable, I'm wondering whether we're proceeding right because previously you suspended the debate. We had issues in as far as filling the gaps in the motion that was presented to us. And as you hear, the minister is asking us to advise him, but he didn't give us the chance, Right Honorable. I'm wondering if we are proceeding right. Thank you.
Honorable, this motion, all of it, if you check on the order paper, was given 30 minutes. I've given it over an hour. In fact, I didn't even proceed well by going beyond the allocated time. Okay? So I can't add on any more time because we have other business on the order paper. And I know that other business, you're equally interested in it. So the minister is still available. And in my ruling, in the end, in my guidance, you will hear what I will say that will allow you more debate on the same matter. So we are proceeding very well. Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Debate should not end only in Parliament. It can continue. I can get advice from you, not necessarily on the floor of Parliament. You can write, you can guide, and we will definitely follow what you have guided us on. I seem to have heard somebody say collection targets. Yes, we must have collection targets because it is the amount of resources, what we call the envelope. My staff bears call it envelope, but what we are talking about is the amount of money that we realize in any given financial year in order to meet the demands of the state or the people to get services. So my conclusion is really to express my thanks. Thank you very much on this, but the debate in my view should continue, and anybody who has got a very useful point to help me to increase revenue, I will welcome him or I will welcome her with open hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Yes, colleagues, you've seen from the debate, we need the minister to undertake a comprehensive evaluation of the economic benefits of the tax exemptions as granted by government in the last 10 years, so that we are informed as a house. People are talking of ABC, this is very, very important. But also, you could see members want us to have a review of the existing tax exemptions and establish their necessity. Are they still necessary? Do we still need to dangle that much as a country? Or we've reached a certain takeoff stage whereby we are competitive enough. We don't need it first to give away each and everything we have for someone to come here and invest. Colleagues, with the debate that we've had and considering the other matters which we have, I now put a question that a motion for a resolution of Parliament urging government to develop a documented comprehensive taxation policy be adopted. Those in favor say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Right on, Honourable Minister, as per Rule 220 of our Rules of Procedure, I would need an action taken report on this motion in the next 3 months. You bring it on the floor and we debate it so that an action taken report. And once they bring that action taken report, we shall be able to debate it here. And we see the steps taken, and then we can add on others, since the minister has said we need to contribute together as Ugandans to get a very clear, comprehensive taxation policy. Next item.
Most obliged, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Yes, Honourable Nandara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the procedures I'm raising, this motion has come in, but in our laws, it is well stipulated that the ministry will come up with policies economic policies, taxation policies, and even if you reach, I think in my public finance, I can't remember the section very well. So, Mr. Speaker, what is this we're raising? Is it procedure right that we are urging the minister to bring something, yet the law is there for the minister to bring this? And we are giving him even 3 months, yet it is mandated that every budget before it comes, that should be the first item to be put there. So I wanted to know, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable, in fact, we have a taxation policy. But the members were arguing that it's not comprehensive. And comprehensive is a relative one. And that's why I loved the response of the minister when he said that you will also guide me, be comprehensive to me, but not comprehensive to you. So we are just contributing at this, and we've had an extensive debate over it, and we've already voted on it. So we really can't go back. So we are proceeding very well. Next item.
Item number 4, motion for resolution of Parliament urging government to urgently operationalize the road fund.
Honorable Saro Pendi. The whole of this will take us around 30 minutes. So Honorable, try to summarize, and then the rest of the motion will be captured on the answer.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, this is a motion for a resolution of this House to government to urgently operationalize the road fund. Whereas the Uganda Road Fund was established by the Uganda Road Fund Act 2008 to operate as a second generation fund with the objective of financing the routine and periodic maintenance of roads are maintained at all times, and advising the minister on preparation and effective implementation of an annual road maintenance program. And whereas Section 21 of the Act provides for finances of the Uganda Road Fund to include road user charges, fines under the Traffic and Road Safety Act, monies appropriated by the Parliament for purposes of the fund, and revenue or assets received by the fund in the performance of its functions, donations, grants to the fund from government, aware that Parliament has on several occasions recommended that the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should develop regulations for the operationalization of the Uganda Road Fund as a second generation fund to enable the Uganda Road Fund access funding as stipulated in Section 21. Further aware that Uganda Revenue Authority, in the exercise of its revenue collection mandate, collects monies that constitute finances for the road fund, yet such monies are remitted to the consolidated fund. Concerned that Uganda Road Fund has continued to draw its resources from the consolidated fund, contrary to the Uganda Road Fund Act, Section 21(3), which requires that road user charges are remitted directly to the fund on a monthly basis, hence undermining the purpose for which the Uganda Road Fund was established. Further concerned that the failure by the minister to operationalize the Uganda Road Fund has continuously constrained its capacity to guarantee timely, reliable, and adequate funding of road maintenance programs, contributing to increased road accidents. Now, therefore, be it resolved by Parliament that the minister responsible for finance should operationalize the road fund in accordance with Section 49 of the Act by the end of the financial year 2021-2022. The minister responsible for finance should ensure that funds collected by the Uganda Road Revenue Authority as road user charges are remitted directly to the fund as stipulated in Section 21(3) of the Act. And thirdly, the minister presents to Parliament the regulations made under Section 49 of the Act by June 2022. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Is the motion seconded? Okay. Seconded by Honorable Nathan Vyanyima, Honorable Rita Tire, Honorable Noah Wanzara, and many other colleagues. Honorable, would you love to speak to your motion? Procedure?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise under Rule 58 and 78 of our Rules of Procedure on amendment to a motion. This motion is urging government to urgently operationalize the road fund. And it states in this motion that the government has been in contravention of the Roads Act by drawing the resources of the Uganda Road Fund from the consolidated fund instead of the road fund. This is a matter of legality. It's not an optional matter, it's an obligational matter. And therefore we cannot urge government. Right Honorable Speaker, in your communication, you directed that this, and he reported in less than 1 hour. You didn't urge him. What I'm saying is that, and I want to propose that instead of urging government, this motion should direct government to operationalize this fund by the end of the financial year. It's a matter of legality, not an optionality matter itself. We've had issues of roads. You can see Prime Minister's time is about roads. Urgent matters is about roads. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable. That's a very good proposal, but it would be in contravention of Article 93 of the Constitution because it has a direct charge on the consolidated fund. So the only thing, we are constrained by the Constitution. Okay? But you're saying they draw money from the consolidated fund. So Article 93 of the Constitution won't allow you to have such a motion on the floor. So we are moving well. Honorable Sarah, speak to your motion.
Was enacted by this parliament. It is now 14 years, Right Honorable Speaker, since this act has been in place. And Section 49 obligates the minister responsible for finance, working with the minister responsible for roads, to issue a statutory instrument operationalizing this act. And Right Honorable Speaker, it's unfortunate that time and again members rise up to raise issues regarding their roads, to raise issues regarding broken bridges, and the problem would actually be solved if we had this road fund in place. Right Honorable Speaker, over the years, the Ministry of Finance has been releasing funds, sometimes 20%, sometimes 25%, sometimes 30%. If I look at the financial year 2021-2022, out of the 506 budgeted for, only 258 billion was actually released, translating into 51% of that budget. This financial year, Right Honorable Speaker, as we speak, the budget is for 487.9 billion. The actual release as we speak now, out of that amount, only 251 has been released, resulting into a shortfall of 231 billion. And therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, there is no way that Uganda National Roads Authority, together with the Minister of Works, can actually maintain our roads, Right Honorable Speaker. Uganda Road Fund needs 1.4 trillion, of which 690 billion is for UNRWA, and the balance is for the districts, municipalities, and cities. And Right Honorable Speaker, as a result of this, we have seen members, we've just heard about the road accidents, Right Honorable Speaker, in different parts of the country. The potholes are partially responsible for these road accidents, Right Honorable Speaker. We have the rains now in place with emergencies that require emergency interventions. Equally, our districts cannot handle some of these emergencies that they would actually do because some of them have the equipment. And it is all because of the funding, Right Honorable Speaker. And Right Honorable Speaker, the money is actually collected, but all the collections from the road user fees and all the other fees go to the consolidated fund. And yet this money, as per the act, would be going directly to the fund which should have been created by the Ministry of Finance, but this has not been done to date. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to move in accordance with this motion that since this matter has been there for 14 years, and even attempts to have these regulations prepared have not yielded much. People are moving back and forth in the Ministry of Finance, showing clearly that there is no goodwill in having this fund in place, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to request that if we want UNRWA to have funds in order to ensure sustainability of our roads or the road network in this country, and ensuring that our roads are safe for each one or every Ugandan to use, we need, Right Honorable Speaker, to have this funds in place. And Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the minister operationalizes this particular fund before close of June and ensures, Right Honorable Speaker, that we have the regulations placed before this House before close of this financial year.
Thank you, honorable colleague, for giving way. Whereas I support the motion, may I know from you whether UNRWA would be self-sustaining on the road users' fees? As far as I know, the only road I know that is paying fees is the Entebbe Express Highway. And your motion is being dependent on the user fees. You're saying the road user fees should go into the land fund. Would the road infrastructure, for that matter, be self-sustaining if the road users' fees go into the land fund? I support the motion, but I seek that clarification.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my motion talks about monies appropriated by Parliament for purposes of the fund and revenue assets received by the fund in the performance of its function. We have fees, not only, that's not the only toll, road toll. We have fuel levy that is supposed to go, if you read section 21 of the Road Fund Act, it's very clear on the fuel levy, all the other fines, road traffic fines on the road are supposed to go directly into the fund, not only the road toll. And currently, as we speak, URA collects over 1 trillion shillings, of which the Uganda Road Fund actually needs 1.4. If it got the 1.4 or even more, would not be making all this, would not be raising all these matters of national importance that we are raising here, because the money would actually be available to work on the roads. But because of lack of that money, members come here to raise this so that the minister for works or the minister or the prime minister can actually look for the money to work on their roads. So the money would actually be sufficient. But the problem is that the Ministry of Finance releases just a percentage, sometimes 25% in the previous years. Last year it was 51. Now it is just
You don't access a microphone before having permission. Now, Honorable Saropendi, you can have your seat. Because we need to harmonize this position, very clear, okay? And I was sharing with Honorable Kwizera here, because we have a conflict in the role. And Honorable Minister, you need to go back. You sit with the Attorney General. We see a way of streamlining our roles. Now, the Road Fund Act was passed in 2008. It's a 2008 law. But then you have the Public Finance Management Act, which was passed in 2015, and under section 30 consolidated all funds apart from the petroleum fund. Okay? But then you have what I was sharing with Honorable Kwizera here, Article 153 of the Constitution, which says these other funds must be protected. You cannot consolidate the funds. Article 153, which establishes the consolidated fund, and 153.2, which says the revenues or other monies referred to in clause or other monies A that are payable by okay. So if this was established for purpose of a road fund, now the Constitution will take precedence.
Let me guide on
in
this.
such a matter.
Madam,
Okay?
sorry, Mr.
So,
Speaker.
to remove this confusion, because Ministry of Finance has been moving under Section 30 of the Public Finance Management Act. But when you have Article 153 of the Constitution, Honourable Minister, do you want to say anything before I allow? Don't mind, because this is some of these matters I want us, all of us, to move in tandem. The seconders are going to come. Honorable Nathan Byanyima is going to come as a seconder. I wanted the minister to.
Oh, thank you. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, these are matters of law. And we have an institution that helps us in legal matters. And therefore, in the brief, I would say, give me a chance to refer this matter to the Attorney General so that we can streamline what is wrong and we come up with a policy, but also backed by the law. So I beg, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable colleagues, allow me to defer this matter Thursday next week. I know why I'm doing this. We defer this matter Thursday next week so that the minister, okay? I'm not concluding the matter, Honorable. I'm not putting any question or what.
Some background information, Mr. Speaker.
It will, okay, Honorable Byanyima, information.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was a chairperson of a committee when this bill came. It was a bill before anyway. We benchmarked. We went all over. If you look at Tanzania, Kenya, we almost have the same laws. But this particular act was never wanted by Minister of Finance. Never wanted it. Even the officer from Soroti, if I can remember very well, who managed to help us with information, because the bills, the papers to cabinet had been taken and they was withdrawn. Nobody wanted. If an officer in the Ministry of Finance said, on his grave, road fund will come up. The story I'm talking about, it is the spirit in which finance has looked at this. But for this minister, I have no problem. I was recently a board member of road fund. I sat with him. We found just 100 shillings on fuel, not tampering with excise duty of fuel, on fuel. It was coming to 1.2 trillion. Just you give road fund 800 billion, you will see this country changing. Today, Tanzania is ahead of us. We're there first. Kenya is ahead of Tanzania. Kenya. Namibia is the best because that money is ring-fenced specifically for road maintenance. These members of parliament, there are people who have been giving witness, like testimonies, that I came back to parliament because of the money that used to come to my sub-county. Every member of parliament belongs to a committee
this road committee of road fund at the district. But the money that goes there is so little now, it cannot cause an impact.
Now, Honorable Nathan.
So,
Honorable Nathan.
Allow me, please.
No, Honorable Nathan, please. Okay? Now you're debating and you're submitting. But what I've said is very simple. This is a factual matter. Okay? Please allow me, I give my guidance on this matter. The minister has been proceeding under a different law. If you read section 30 of the Public Finance Management Act, it consolidates all these funds apart from the petroleum fund. But there is a constitution. The minister is not saying the motion is bad or what. And I'm not saying we conclude the motion. What I'm saying is simple. Minister, go write to the Attorney General on this matter and ensure you get a response, okay? A guidance on operationalization of Article 153. And on Thursday, I will have it on order paper. Otherwise, when you're debating a matter where a minister is saying I'm uncomfortable with the law, I'm confused, then even he can't be guided very well. He's tied, his hands are tied. So I want us to move in tandem. Now, if on Thursday the minister came with a letter from the Attorney General saying, please operationalize these funds, then there would have achieved our target. And what we are trying to achieve is a certain target. So I move that, I rule that way. Let us not waste time on this. On Thursday, I need this item on order paper so that has guided, and you lay the rate on table. If the Attorney General has not guided by then we shall resume the debate on the matter and we submit. I've already ruled, and
thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Being there no other item, I adjourn the House to Tuesday at 2 p.m.
What